It is the Fantasy Cheat Sheet, and you know how I know that? Because it is Tuesday evening, and this is the Fantasy Cheat Sheet presented by Going for Two Live. Go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff that helps us with the algorithm. Let's just get right into it. You know who I am. I'm Drop the Mic, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is my two co-hosts. First, we got Jordan. Jordan, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Feeling a lot better health-wise this week, so just ready to talk some football.
All right. And certainly, last but not least, my buddy, the other guy, the fill-in man of the show, Jamie. What is up, my dude?
What's going on? Thanks for having me tonight. I'm excited to be here for you.
No, thanks for jumping in. We always appreciate it. Let's just jump right into it. There was a lot of good games this weekend, a lot of good stuff. We'll get into the news, then we'll get into Monday Night Football real quick, and then we'll get it going. So, the first big piece of news that I want to talk about, unfortunately, Breece Hall tore his ACL. But on top of that, because of that, the Jets do think they're a playoff team. Obviously, I think they could be a playoff team, but they're definitely in the hunt. And the reason I say that is because they traded for James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday. So my question is, and this is what I want to pose to both of you, and I'm going to start with you, Jamie, because I know exactly where you're going to go. Who does this trade benefit more? The running backs in New York or Travis Etienne now that he is the sole dude?
It's definitely got to be ETN. He looked good the past few weeks already, and now he doesn't have James Robinson behind him to take away touches, so he's going to eat all day long. I'm so excited. ETN's one of my most owned players. I was disappointed getting him in the third round, beginning of the fourth, most drafts, but now it's a steal.
Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. They cleared the deck for ETN to do his thing. And then they started to phase James Robinson out, like Jamie said. Anyway, the last couple of weeks.
No, was it 1 or 0 rushes this week?
I think it was.
I think it was one rush or something. It was not good.
Right. So the writing was on the wall at that point. Barring an injury, was probably the only way Robinson would have stepped back in to get that role anyway. Mm-hmm. So now they clear the decks for him. That's good. It might be good for James Robinson as well, going to New York, being able to share some work with Michael Carter. And I mean, who knows if the Jets might make it even uglier and add Ty Johnson in there as well. So I know they were doing that for a couple of weeks with Breece Hall before he kind of fully took control. So the Jets situation is up in the air, but I like what this means for ETN for sure.
Yeah, that's how I feel for sure. I do want to touch the other side real quick, partially because I'm a little partial to the first name. Michael Carter, I'm afraid this is going to hurt him a little bit, but I still think people are saying, oh, James Robinson's going to come in and bulldoze Carter's value. I don't think that's the case. They don't have anyone else. I mean, it was Carter and Hall. They didn't really have anyone else. I think they saw an opportunity to get a guy that was losing value at his current home in James Robinson in Jacksonville. I do think that he's going to take a little bit of the value away, but I still think it's going to be Carter on third down, and Carter's going to get most of the carries, maybe lose a little bit of goal line, which scares me. But other than that, I still think it's Carter's game to play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely think at the very least he'll take probably the passing downs work from Robinson.
Yeah. So another piece of news, AFC North, Matt Ryan was dealing with the shoulder, but that doesn't matter because they said this news was going to happen even if there was no shoulder. Sam Ehlinger is now the starter this week in Indy. I want to start off on this one because I have one thing to say. This just proves that Carson Wentz maybe should have stayed. But in more seriousness, I personally think this affects my waiver wire ad a couple of weeks ago, Alec Pierce, more than it affects Michael Pittman. because I think they're going to throw the field less downfield, and they're going to run the ball more because Sam Ellinger can run the ball himself. So I think they're going to throw less this because of this. Jordan, why don't you kick us off on this one?
I think the Matt Ryan issue just means can Frank Reich pick a quarterback? I mean, they put faith in Carson Wentz last year. It didn't work. Phillip Rivers was there for a year. And the Colts in general in picking quarterbacks. Like, they've been like a seesaw situation for quarterbacks the last, this is like the fifth quarterback in 5 years they've had. So it continues for them. I don't know if Sam Ellinger is the answer, but it's good to just get a fresh young guy in there, see what he can do. You got to like it for Jonathan Taylor at the very least. Not sure what to expect out of receivers. I would expect, particularly in the first week, for them to throw less. To kind of get him accustomed to the speed of the game and the game plan and things of that nature. But it was disappointing for me as a Paris Campbell owner, if there are any or anybody who was looking to pick him up off of waivers. I think this kind of quells his prospects. Michael Pittman was looking like he was coming along as well, kind of dampens that as well. So for the run game, it's good. Maybe even Naheem Hines may be pretty good. But for the receiving game, it's just a wait-and-see approach. I'm not going to totally jump ship on the passing game, but I just got to I got to temper my expectations and just wait and see what happens. What do you think about it, Jamie?
I mean, I like it for the running game a lot. Like Taylor's going to elevate. Like you said, Paris Campbell, that's going to take a hit. I have him in multiple leagues, just picked him up. Even in my Scott Fish Bowl, I was going to use them for bye week fill-ins.
Yeah,
but I just don't see that happening right now. But I think it helps the kicker a lot.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for their top scorer, maybe grab the kicker off the waiver wire because they do kick in a dome too. So
yes, they do. So we have one more piece of news that I want to get in. Two more pieces real quick. One I want to bring up really quick. Frank Clark, Kansas City Chief, suspended for 2 games for his incident in the offseason with getting pulled over in his Lamborghini with Uzis in the backseat. I knew this was coming down the pipeline. I just assumed this was going to be earlier in the season because it happened so early in the season that I figured it was just going to be, hey, we know you screwed up. We're going to suspend you for 3 or 4 games. I'm glad it was only 2. We got to wait for after the bye week to lose them. Nothing really to go. I just wanted to say that because that happened today. The other piece of fantasy relevant news that I want to bring up, and I apologize to one person on this show right now, but I have to bring it up. David Njoku injured on Sunday, high ankle sprain, out multiple weeks. I've heard 2 to 5.
yeah.
Jamie, you predicted he was going to have a blow-up game this weekend. He did have a blow-up game. He did until the injury. So what do you think this means for David Njoku after the injury, and what do you think this means for your team, the Cleveland Browns?
I mean, I didn't have high expectations for the Browns anyway going forward. But for Njoku, I feel bad for him. He was having like a top 10 season on his way to top 5, and that's what I actually predicted in the offseason. But they do have Harrison Bryant. He's a great receiving tight end, so I think he'll bode well with Njoku being out. But I just feel bad for Njoku having such a great season. And then when he comes back, he should just step right in, hopefully, without missing a step.
I agree. Any thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I had Njoku in a couple of leagues. I was ecstatic with the value he was providing this season, and I expected it to get better when Watson gets back. Now, obviously, he's not out for the year or anything like that, 2 to 5 weeks, but with high ankle sprains, even when guys come back, they aren't back to what they were pre-injury. So even when he does come back, it'll probably take some time for him to get back up to 100%. But it's disappointing to see for him, but I mean, like I said, he'll have a chance to finish the season strong with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just get straight into the rest of the show. Is anyone's audio weird?
I kept hearing Jordan cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I heard you cut out too just now. I'm gonna bring you guys down and bring you guys right back up.
Mhm.
Check, check. All right, let's just go.
All
All
right.
right, so last night, Monday Night Football, Bears versus the Patriots, 33-14. If you said you would have predicted that on the Bears side, I want to see the receipts. Because you're lying. And if you aren't lying, you better put some money on that in Vegas. Justin Fields did his thing a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later. I do want to say, Ramondre Stevenson, thank you. I won by 3 points because of you in a league
Nice.
that I am 6-1. And Jamie already heard this because I already ranted
Yeah.
last night. I'm 6-1 now, and there's 4, and I'm in 4th place.
Wow. Wow.
There's four of us tied, and I'm in 4th with points. Not cool. Not cool. So let's get into it. What is your Monday Night Football takeaway? And we're going to start with you, Jordan.
It just feels like last night was one of those moments where, as far as fantasy purpose goes, there aren't many Patriots that you want to start to begin with. Ramondre Stevenson, and maybe Jacoby Myers. He had a bad game Monday night, but you would start him. But as far as real football goes, the Patriots look like they're in a dark place. They played 2 quarterbacks last night. They took Mac Jones out of the game very early for Bailey Zappi, who is obviously the 3rd string quarterback. So, Jones was coming off the injury. I understand that, but why play him at all if you were going to take him out? And according to Belichick, it wasn't because of an injury. Allegedly, wasn't because of the interception that he threw. So it's just weird the way that went down. They scored 14 points. I'm sorry, against a Bears defense that isn't very good. They gave up 33 points to a Bears offense that isn't very good. So it's just, I don't know where they go now. We were used to the Patriots being the best team in the AFC East. That's no longer the case. They aren't the first. They aren't the best team. They aren't the second best team. And according to records, they aren't even the 3rd best team in their division. The Jets are better than them. So now they're last in their division. They just lost 33-14 on Monday night to a terrible team, and they're playing 2 quarterbacks in the middle of a game when one of them was a 1st-round pick. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how this gets any better this season, but it just feels like the Patriots are heading in a place that we weren't used to seeing them at moving forward.
All right, so I'll tell you what I'll tell you the trajectory. I'll tell you where I think they're going. But before that, someone wants to talk about the quarterback situation in more in depth. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, with the Mac Jones versus Zappi. So Jones started the game, not able to get anything going. He, let's see, I think the first 3 drives he went
3 in a row.
3 and out. Yes. Then he finally got something going. Couldn't make it even past the 40, throwing an interception. Now we look at it as the Zappi hour, but that expired quickly. Like he came in, he looked good. He threw 2 touchdowns, but from that point, like the Bears defense just shut him down, and they were up 14-10 at that point.
Yep.
And then they went scoreless the rest of the game. Like Zappi throwing 2 interceptions, but overall, I think Zappi looked better than Mac Jones just playing.
Mm-hmm.
So should they stick with Zappi or go back to Mac?
So I think that Mac isn't completely healed from the ankle injury. I think that's got to still be balling. Wasn't it a high ankle sprain that he had? Those things, you don't get over those in 2 weeks.
It was a high.
Yeah, you don't fully recover from a high ankle sprain in 2 weeks. And I think he saw Bailey Zappi playing well in the time that he was out, and he tried to rush back. And I think it's just hurting him trying to play hurt, not to lose his job when he might end up doing that anyway. So, I think that they should sit Mac and let him fully heal, and then it should definitely be his job when he's 100%. What do you think about it, Mike?
So I'll talk about both points real quick. On the quarterback front, I got a buddy, Jamie, you know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
I got a buddy who is clamoring that Mac Jones is not the QB of the future, that it is Zappy is the QB for the Patriots. However, I would not have disagreed with that up to the first half. In the second half, Zappy didn't prove diddly squat. I do think that they waited too long. I will say this. I think Zappy is their backup for now. I think Hoyer is now their third. I think if Hoyer comes back, I think Hoyer's old, Hoyer concussion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I would hang it up for sure, but if I were Bill, I would do the young thing. And I brought this up last night with you, Jamie. If it gets to the point where Mac Jones and Zappy are both doing decent or whatever the case may be, it might be a situation like, and I'm not comparing Mac to Brady whatsoever, but how many times has Belichick traded a backup quarterback that has looked decent when Brady went out? And I'm going to bring up the biggest disappointment for me personally. Matt Castle looked like a freaking all-pro quarterback. We trade for him. We give him all this money, and he says freaking dog doo-doo. Okay? On the front of the Patriots themselves, I think the trajectory is straight downhill, not gradually downhill. I think it's like this. I think Belichick knows it, but his ego is too big to admit it and get out of there before he can. Because Belichick isn't going to be around for 10 more years, right? He's already won what he needs to do. He's already going down as one of the best coaches, if not the best in the history of the game. I just think they're going downhill. Jets are starting to go up. McDaniel and the Dolphins are going up. The problem is those two teams. The problem isn't the Bills, because the Bills have been going up. The problem is we didn't expect the Jets to be what the Jets are this week. You brought that up, or this year. You brought that up last week, Jordan, that the Jets and the Giants are better than we thought coming into the season, and they're proving that. That's all I need to say about that. So we've talked a lot about the Patriots. There is another team that played last night, okay? Yes, they're, the Bears. The Bears. No, they're not the Bears. They're the Bears. They're not a great team, but they did beat the Niners. They just beat the Patriots. I will say this, though. Their coaching still drives me nuts because they're not putting Justin Fields in the position to win. They're winning in spite of the coaching staff, not because of the coaching staff. But my buddy, on a guy I know personally, I'm going to give him credit for the stat. Wyatt B_FF, part of JW Fantasy on Twitter. He posted this, and this is actually eye-opening. Justin Fields is on pace for 884 rushing yards. And I don't think his rushing is going to slow down. Last night he had 14 rushing attempts, okay? I don't think it's going to slow down because they don't want to throw the ball a lot. They're going to keep using Khalil Herbert a little more. I'm bugging about that because I have a lot of Montgomery shares, so that scares me. So he posted the stat that I'm going to bring up, the Justin Fields line, and then says just something to think about. And I agree with him on this one. Since 2011, every quarterback, and I'm not saying Justin Fields is going to finish in the top, but since 2011, every quarterback who has had at least 700 yards rushing for the season has finished at least a top 10 QB that year. All but one of those has been a top 5 quarterback.
Wow.
Because of the Konami code and the rushing upside. So my question to you, because of that, is there a chance that Justin Fields ends up being like number 8 through 10 in fantasy by the end of the year? Just because of his rushing upside? It's ugly. It's ugly, but could it happen?
Possibly, but he needs to stop throwing interceptions. fumbling. He needs to actually have yards passing also.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
But the problem is those points that you're talking about aren't I don't in standards. Most of those points aren't a big enough detraction in fantasy scoring. Your real football, I agree, but for fantasy scoring, a -2 here and a -2 there ain't that big of a deal when you're rushing 20 yards on one play, which is making up that point. Kyle, what is going on? I'm glad you were here, my man. Jordan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible, but I don't think it's likely.
Neither do I.
But I do think that anytime there's a quarterback with rushing upside, there's always that chance. I just wish that if he was a little better as a passer, it would definitely be reachable. But at this point, he started off so slow. I just don't see him finishing with such a flurry that would get him up to that point.
All right, so I'm going to bring, before we get into our start sit part of this show, I'm going to bring Kyle's question up. I will preface it so you guys know this is a contract league. Kyle is a wacky guy. Kyle likes these weird leagues that you got to do all this investigating. So I haven't even looked at this. I'm just going to bring it straight up. 10-team Superflex start a 12-man salary contract league. He gave Devin Singletary in his final year of his rookie contract and a 23 third, and he got Brandon Ayuk, and the contract expired after he has one more year. I like it.
I like it.
Because you have one more year of control. Singletary, you don't have any more. Yes, Kyle is wacky in the best kind of way, Kyle. Kyle, I love you. So giving up Singletary, and you only have him for control this year, having Ayuk, I think Ayuk is I love Ayuk. I have too much. I don't have too much Ayuk, but I got enough of Ayuk on my dynasty rosters. I actually have him on a dynasty roster that Kyle helped me with a big trade last year that gave me DeAndre Swift. So I will take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
So Jordan, I know for a fact that you hate starting sit time Saturday night, Sunday morning, because I know you tilt just like me. So what were you tilting on, and what happened?
So, man, in one of the leagues I have, Jalen Hurts was my quarterback. So, I had been peeping out his bye was obviously coming this past week. So, last Sunday, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm looking at the waiver wire, debating between Matt Ryan and Daniel Jones. And I'm like, okay, I think Daniel Jones has the floor with the rushing ability. We just kind of talked about with Justin Fields a little bit. But I'm like, passing wise, Matt Ryan came off a really good game. They had a good matchup against Tennessee. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with Matt Ryan. We all know how that went. Ryan.
He's no longer the starter. That's how it went.
No longer the starter. Stuck up the joint. They lost the game. And then I lost by 18 points. Matt Ryan in that league scored 11, I believe. And Daniel Jones scored 30. So the 19-point difference between Daniel Jones and Matt Ryan would have gave me a 1-point victory. And, I was 5-1. I was 5-1 in the league. So it didn't hurt me too bad, but it was just painful just to see how much I wish I would have lost by 40 at that point if it would, considering that I could have just picked up Daniel Jones and won the matchup. When it's so close like that, I just wish I get blown out. It was disappointing. Matt Ryan is no longer a star. That's good for him. Good riddance. I don't care. I'm never going to probably pick him again. Doesn't matter if he goes to a different team. I'm done with Matt Ryan after this week.
Man, I feel you on that. I would have made that same decision, though. Matt Ryan facing the Titans because he was a quarterback one a few weeks ago when they faced them.
Yes.
So
I was feeling good about it. And, I was like, well, maybe Daniel Jones. Jacksonville's defense isn't horrible. And I thought, they would be able to do a little something. But, I mean, he scored 30. I lost.
Jamie,
Yep.
Jamie, I know you don't. Jamie, I know you're feeling. I know you had some. I know you don't really have a regret. But what is the situation that you have for us?
Yeah. So yeah, I have no regrets this week. I ended up making all the right decisions, or I lost so bad it didn't even matter.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's more
but
like it. Okay,
yeah,
that's more like it.
I
yeah.
prefer those. I prefer those, by the way.
But in one of my dynasty leagues, someone started Dalvin Cook and AJ Brown when they had Gus Edwards and Sammy Watkins on the bench. They said that they didn't realize that they're on buys, but I don't know how you can't realize that they're blacked out.
Right.
But so I won 157.64 to 157.6. So I won by 0.04 points.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
my. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. Go buy a freaking lotto ticket.
Yeah, it can't get any closer than that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. So since yours was nice and short, let's jump into mine because I'm not very happy. And it has to do with quarterbacks again. Because for some reason, me and Jordan usually have the same position that it's happened almost every other week. If Jordan has a running back situation, I got a running back situation. He's got a quarterback. I saw him put his in first, and I went, well, great. I got one too. So it's a super flex league. My starting super flex QB is Patrick Mahomes. That is a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, then you go to my super flex, and at the beginning of the year, you thought it would have been a no-brainer. Tom freaking Brady. Okay? So here's the problem. The guy that I went against had Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Hopkins, combined got them a lot more than he should have. So I knew I was going to be pushing the limit. But before that even happened, I was actually debating Geno Smith against the Chargers, Tom Brady against Carolina. That team's not doing great. Tom Brady's going to have a bounce back game. Tom Brady's going to do decent. He would have had a decent game if freaking Mike Evans just knows how to catch the goddamn ball in the open field. And when you understand, when I tell you why I'm mad, you'll really get mad about that drop catch from Mike Evans. Because my other quarterback was Jameis Winston, and this is a dynasty league. It's a start. This was the first year of the startup. It's Debbie, so here we go. I lost by 2 points. Geno Smith outscored Tom Brady by 3.
Oh.
Tom Brady Geno only scored 14.5, but Tom Brady scored 11.7. Or whatever it is. I would have won by 1.
I know that. I feel your pain, man. I feel you.
Come on. Tom Brady against Carolina?
That was supposed to be a layup.
And it was supposed to be 13-point underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you would have won if Mike Evans would have caught the touchdown too. But even if he didn't do anything else, he probably just would have won with the touchdown. Sometimes I just hate fantasy football. I mean, and this is just one of those times, man.
So
but
this guy I know on Twitter tweeted this out the other day. He said, "My wife just asked me if I'm so angry every Sunday night, why?" She asked him, "If you're so angry every Sunday night, why do you keep playing?" And this is exactly one of those freaking situations.
Yes, it is. It is. I am like ticked off almost every Sunday. Sometimes it's like you get beat and there's nothing you can do about it.
No, if you get beaten, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I'll be honest. I had a league. I don't know if I told you this one or not, Jamie. I had a league that I went up against Joe Burrow, Austin Eckler, and Jamar Chase.
Oh, wow.
When I saw that and I saw what was going on, I just went, all right, I don't.
Yeah, you're done.
It doesn't matter.
I can live with those, but it's the ones that you agonize over every decision you made, and then you lose by like 2. Anything less than 10 is tough.
Yes. All right, so we've talked about the waiver wires. We've talked about Monday Night Football. I know there's a couple teams that these guys want to talk about. So Jordan, I just talked about the quarterback. Tell me about the whole team sucking.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I had high expectations for Tom Brady, fantasy wise, this season, and with that, I thought that the real life football success would come with it. However, we are almost at the midway point. We're heading into week 8, you know, and they still are struggling on offense. He didn't throw a touchdown last week at all. Leonard Fournette can't run the ball. Their offensive line stinks. Um, I'm not sure what to make of the Buccaneers moving forward. I'm not sure it's a switch they can just flip and turn it on. I thought that would have happened already. They've played defenses that aren't that good. I mean, you know, Carolina could have been a bounce back game. The game before that, Pittsburgh could have been a bounce back game when they were losing. They didn't have 5 of their starters on defense, and especially in the secondary, and they didn't do anything against them. They lost. So I'm really worried about Tampa Bay's offense. That offensive line isn't getting any better. So that hurts Tom Brady as well as Fournette. And then in the last couple of weeks, Fournette hasn't been getting the targets to kind of help move the chains. I don't know what's up with that. He only had like 3 targets on Sunday. So starting to worry about Fournette from a fantasy standpoint, worried about Tom Brady. And then obviously when you worry about the quarterback, the receivers, they're getting the targets. It's just they're not doing much with them. Now, obviously, Mike Evans dropped a touchdown pass last week. Sorry, Mike. But but Tom Brady just isn't looking good, and if that continues, I just don't know what to do. They're 3-4 right now. Who thought that would have happened at the beginning of the season?
Yep.
It is luckily for them, they're in a division that isn't as good as it was the previous years, so they can still make the playoffs. But I don't know how much that salvages
Their season.
my fantasy season for Tom Brady and for Godwin and Evans and the guys that I have. So I'm just worried about them. And I wanted to see I'm interested to see what you guys think about. Can they turn it around or not?
Jamie, you go first because I have some very poignant.
I mean, it's always possible to turn it around, especially when you have someone like Brady, but he needs to get his head straight. There's obviously his personal issues, and I think that's what's hurting him. I'm going to give him another week and just see what happens. But at this point, it's going to be half the season. It's already done. So you just have to cut ties with them. But it's Tom Brady, man. It's hard.
All right. And
so that's why I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe one more week, because I do have him in a couple leagues that I'm starting him. But it's just like Russell Wilson, disappointing.
Yeah. And I mostly have Brady in some 2 quarterback leagues. That's my second quarterback. But
yep, I have to do it too.
It's still like, I mean, obviously the man is separated from his wife right now. So obviously that's more important than him throwing some touchdowns to Mike Evans. But at the same point, from the same standpoint of fantasy production, it's in his head must be. And I guess until he can kind of work through those, whatever he's working through, I don't know if we can expect him to be much better.
All right. So I'm not going on a soapbox. I'm not going on a rant, but I'm just going to say how I think it truly is. I am worried that it is toast, but the problem is that division is so toast that they, like you said, they're going to make it to the playoffs or whatever. For fantasy purposes, here's my issue. You came off a game that you should have, to me, okay, I'll be honest. You should have smoked Carolina. It shouldn't have even been close. 13-point underdog. It shouldn't have been damn close. Okay. Now you go short week. Okay. And you play the Ravens at home. So I know it's at freaking home, but still, you're playing the Ravens on a short week. Then week 9, you play the Rams. I know the Rams aren't the greatest right now, but you're still playing the Rams. Then you play the Seahawks, who are a lot better team than we all thought. Then you have your bye week. Then you play Cleveland. Okay? After that, They play the Saints. And the reason I bring that up, division opponent, they always play the Saints, always play them tough. Then they play the Niners, Bengals, Cardinals, Panthers again. That's week 17. Do you guys see a couple? I mean, with the way they've been playing, is there any games in there that's a surefire win?
Just against the Browns.
No, I'm not even saying that, because I'm not even saying that, honestly, Jamie. And I know that's where you were going to go,
Yeah.
but I'm not even saying that. My problem is the team is underperforming. The wide receivers are underperforming, partially because Brady's underperforming. This team relies on one person and one person only to succeed, Brady. Because if Brady's clicking, everything else clicks. But Brady has, since he's been in Tampa Bay, what is this, the third year? Yes. Every year he's been in Tampa Bay. What has he had in front of him?
Good offensive line.
What's he not have now?
Yes, yeah, a good offensive line. So,
and he's an old man who can barely move. I might move better than him, and my right knee needs to be replaced. Okay, so I'm afraid. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
so,
and
go ahead, close it off, Jordan.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, before the season, whenever he took the hiatus from camp, that was kind of a red flag, maybe, that I should have saw. But I just said, it's Tom Brady. He'll get over it. Whatever it was is in the rear view. He'll just come out and ball, and it didn't happen. So me, like the rest of Buck Nation, we're just relying on Giselle to walk back through that door and make him happy. So that's what needs to happen.
All right. So Tom Brady wears what number jersey, Jordan?
12.
Let's talk about another number 12 in gold and yellow, or green and yellow. Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, okay. So this is my choice, right?
This is Jordan's team. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was looking into it, and it looks like to me the Packers are in trouble after losing to the Commanders.
The answer is yes.
I can see the playoff hopes just like plunging after that loss, because the Vikings are 5-1, the Packers are 2 games behind them, 3-4. And they're lacking reliable firepower, like beyond Aaron Jones and Lazard. So, and that defense, it's just not good. Like, they can't stop the run, like even game scripts. And now they're having like key issues against the pass in like critical moments. So the time to relax is gone for Packers fans, man. After losing 3 consecutive games, like the NFC playoff berth is sliding away. And do you think it's because of Aaron Rodgers, or is there something else going on around that team?
So I'm gonna go first on this, only because I'm gonna hand it off to Jordan and let him do his thing. I do think it's Matt LaFleur to me.
Right.
I think it's Aaron Rodgers and Matt, but this is the first time that they've had a three-game losing streak under Matt. They don't have the weapons on the outside. Actually, I take it back. It's the front office, because they didn't put things in position for him. Pass it over.
Yeah, they didn't put things in position for him. And I do think Aaron Rodgers is part of the problem, because, obviously the offense goes as he goes. And if I just think back to Matt LaFleur's first year, and it took some time, it took some time for them to get used to his offense. And I think we're doing that all over again. No weapons, so it's like we're starting fresh. Young guys, they have to get acclimated. Had some injuries to those young guys, so that kind of set them back even more. The older guys we have are injury prone. Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, those guys aren't known for their attrition and staying healthy or anything like that. And I think it's where Matt LaFleur takes a large portion of the blame, to me, is the way that they utilize, or the lack thereof utilization, for the running backs. With the skill sets that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones have, I think that they should be used much more and in better situations. Like, you look at some of the pass routes that Aaron Jones, like his numbers, you'll see he has 2 receptions for like 10 yards. That's not getting him out in space. That's just a last resort throwing and he's getting tackled immediately. They have to design better, more creative ways to get the ball in those guys' hands. They're the best playmakers we have. Well, particularly Jones. I definitely think Dylan should be more involved as well, but Jones should be used in more creative ways to get him the ball. Um, and I don't know if that's a Rodgers thing. I don't know if that's the play calls or whatever the case may be. But we lost. We scored 10 points against the Jets. No disrespect to the Jets, but come on, we have to play better than that. The teams that we've lost to both New York teams and the Commanders in 3 straight weeks. It's not what you expect from a Packers team, especially one with Aaron Rodgers healthy. If this was a season with Jordan Love, I would understand it. But we're looking as bad as if Jordan Love would have been a quarterback. So that has to get better. I don't see it changing much. Rodgers is throwing blame all over the place at the receivers and any
But
chance.
isn't that Rodgers' MO to get the credit off the dirt off his back? Isn't that always the MO?
Kind of, yes, but it's just more. It's in the spotlight more now because we're losing,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
not like a 1 week thing and then we get back to winning. No, we're struggling every single week, even in the games that we do win. Like we beat the Bucks, but it was 14-12. We just talked about how bad the Bucks have played. So, it hasn't been an impressive season by far. We got stomped in opening weekend by the Vikings. Similar to the Bucks, like we talked about, the future of this season isn't looking promising. That's the way I'm starting to feel about the Packers, unless we figure out different and more creative ways. Or, like I saw today, a report about them looking for a receiver. Maybe that can be a saving grace, getting a difference maker on the outside. Because I mean, Alan Lazard got hurt this past weekend, so we need more weapons, and it couldn't hurt to get a quarterback more weapons. So if that happens, then I'll revisit this. But as of now, as currently constructed, we're not looking good. Even though we're still only a half game out of that last wild card spot.
Anything you want to add, Jamie?
No, I think he covered most of it, man. But it's like Aaron Rodgers, like he always blames other people. Like I saw a video of saying it was the play calling, like the motions, and I mean
And
you still got to get it done though.
right, and it could be. It's a such thing as all these things can be true wrapped into one package.
Mm-hmm.
It could be Matt LaFleur. It could be the receivers. It could be Aaron Rodgers, but it's all in one. I don't think it's just Matt LaFleur 100% or it's just these young receivers. All of them are culpable in the ineptitude that this team has displayed so far.
The one thing I will bring up, and I know we're talking about Rodgers and LaFleur and the offense in general and all that. We haven't brought this point up. The one thing that gets me about this team, and I know as a Packer fan, it drives you nuts. I thought this defense was going to be better.
I never believe in the Packers defense. Every year when
okay.
I never do. It doesn't matter how they start off the season, because Jair Alexander ends up hurt for the most part, and they don't really. He doesn't travel much, so it kind of hampers the ceiling of the defense per se. But I never get called. Doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. By the end of the year, we're getting run on. No, I don't fall
matter.
for it. Nope.
All right. So these boys both went with certain teams. I took my whatever I want to talk about question or topic on a different way that these boys did tonight. And I'm going to talk about fantasy matchups to exploit this week because teams that suck. And I am going off of a tool I want to give the tool a shout out because if I didn't have this tool, I wouldn't have it. Football Guys has a tool. It's their strength of schedule. It starts after week 4. They don't do it before week 4. That way, they get the data from this season, not just from historical data, because every team is different year to year when it comes to defenses more than offenses. And so the way they do it is they rank them plus So a team has a plus or a minus. If it's a plus, that means that defense is giving up. It's bad if it's a plus. What that means is that team is giving up plus whatever those points are on an average over that opponent. So if a team is giving, if it says +3, that means that team's defense gives up on an average 3 more points, fantasy points to that position than their opponents do. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. At running back, this is the biggest disparity to me. Miami is playing Detroit. Okay. And I know, Jamie, that me and you wish Chase Edmonds was a thing, but he's not. But I think we would agree that Mostert is looking like he is a thing this season.
Yes.
Yep.
Detroit is giving up plus 9.4. Okay. 9.4 more points on average than their opponent at the two running backs. The second team is plus 9.3. Who is that team? That's Houston. Who are they playing? They're playing Derrick freaking Henry.
Oh.
So what's that tell me? That tells me that freaking if you have Derrick Henry, I know he's a must start every week. I'm not saying that that's even a debate. What I'm saying is Derrick Henry going to eat. Okay? But this is how big of a disparity it goes. From two, and I will say, I didn't bring this up just to rat on you, Jamie, but your team is third, okay? but the disparity between 2 and 3 goes from 9.3 to 4.2. It's the biggest disparity of any position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So what I'm saying is the Detroit and Houston defenses against running backs targeted them this week and targeted them every week possible that you can.
Wow.
I mean, I did not think that disparity was that big until I looked at that at lunch. Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah. So like when you on a week-to-week basis, when you're looking at your lineups and you kind of depending on what site you use, it kind of has the green for a good matchup, the red for a bad matchup based on the numbers. And when you look at Detroit particularly, man, they suck like against the run. Like
Bad.
I thought the Chargers would be up there as well because it seemed like they get gashed every week.
They're not on this only because they have a bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but they are not. They're typically bad as well. But yeah, Mostert should eat this week. I hope, praying that he stays healthy. He's been doing a good job of that this year. And Derrick Henry, it didn't matter who they were playing, but particularly that they're playing Houston, it should be a huge game, especially with Tannehill struggling, and he got banged up a little bit last week. So yeah, I expect Derrick Henry to be.
What do you think, Jamie?
So with those numbers, against Detroit, would you be willing to flex Chase Edmonds and a deeper flex?
Over who though?
I mean, I couldn't tell you right now, but
you can tell me. I mean, it depends on. And Jordan, he's talking deep leagues. I know his thought. It depends who.
You got start 11. You got to start 11 players. You got 3 flex spots and plus a super flex. So.
It depends on who.
This is worth a dart throw.
It's worth a throw. It's worth a thought. Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth the thought.
Especially, I guess, especially with Tua back, the offense is better, more scoring opportunities, I would assume. Mostert can't get every carry. He can't get every snap. So, possible.
So, before we get into the cheat of the week, I do have a soapbox that I want to jump on real quick because I saw the schedule and it drives me nuts. The Chiefs and the Chargers both have a bye week. I'm not upset the fact that 2 offensive juggernauts have a bye week. Last week we had 4 teams and we had a whole bunch of players. Jordan remembers I mentioned that when it was, Minnesota and Philly and all those players having it on. Here's my soapbox. Last week we had 4 teams on bye. The week before, we had 4 teams on bye. Why can't we have 4 teams on bye every week instead of having 2 this week and 6 next week? NFL, get your head out of your ass.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think, Jamie? I see you shaking your head too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like they just make it even buys every week, but
we won't have to have bipocalypse.
Yeah, but I mean, at least they're not doing it starting at week 3 or 4.
Right.
So,
but still. All right, so we're gonna get straight into the cheat of the week. It is our waiver wire section or transaction, whatever you want to do when it comes to adding players, whatever. Jordan, who was your waiver wire ad?
So the first person I had was obvious. It's probably more obvious, and I'm sure he was available in a lot of leagues the last time I checked. But after his performance Sunday, he's probably going to be picked up in majority of leagues. Gus Edwards. Obviously, J.K. Dobbins went to IR. Gus scored a couple times on Sunday. Got majority of the work. Even after Kenyon Drake had a good game the previous week, everybody went to pick him up, and then Gus was activated, played, and took most of the work from Drake. Drake was still used, but obviously Gus was the main guy. They played the Bucks Thursday night, which would typically be a tough run defense, but obviously Chuba Hubbard and Dante Foreman ran well against them last week. So maybe, Gus falls in the end zone. With Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, there's always a chance you can score, particularly when you get in the red zone. So Gus is somebody I'll be looking to pick up and see if he's in your leagues. He probably isn't in the deep leagues. I'm sure he probably isn't there. But as far as 12, 10 teamers, pick up Gus just to have that number one guy on a good rushing attack.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, man. Because
hands down.
Do we know how long Dobbins is going to be out?
He's on IR, so it's a minimum. It's a minimum of 4, but they're saying 4 to 6 more than likely with
4 to 6
with the surgery.
All right, and they'll probably bring him back slowly, hopefully.
Very slowly.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I know after week 12 and on, they have a great schedule against the rush. So Edwards could be a smash league winner right there.
Yeah. And maybe them taking their time and putting Gus on IR is what helped him be ready out of the gate compared to Dobbins, who seemed like he tried to rush back maybe. And I know they had 2 different injuries, like Gus tore more ligaments in his knee, but it just seems like they were more comfortable giving him a lot of work in his first game compared to the way that they brought Dobbins along.
Yeah, for sure. So Jamie, I know you're filling in for Zach tonight, which means one thing and one thing only. You don't care about waiver wires. You only care about trades. Give us your trade of the week.
All right. So I made a trade on Saturday night, and it was Breece Hall. I traded away Breece Hall.
Okay.
Yeah. He did this on Saturday night.
Okay. Initially, he wanted to give me Pittman and Stevenson, and I said, "There's no way. I don't want Stevenson." I was like, "Give me your 2023 first."
Okay.
So he was like, "I'll do that." So I'm like, "Send it over." Click, got it. So I traded away Breece Hall, got Pittman, and a top 3 pick in 2023. Ooh. Now it's going to probably be the first or second pick because he just lost Breece Hall and Michael Pittman in that league. So right now I have Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman, Rashad Bateman, Christian Kirk, and Amari Cooper as my starters.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Man, so how many text messages you got with curse words from that guy?
Nothing. Yeah, he's actually over in London, so we're on different time zones. But yeah, we haven't contacted each other yet. So I'm sure he's pretty pissed about that.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, I pretty much got Pittman and Bijan Robinson for Breece Hall.
Yeah,
it's a big win in my book.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big win.
Like I thought it was a good trade before, like even on both sides. But now with the injury, it's crazy.
So I know, I mean, obviously you got the first, the top 3 pick. You wasn't interested in getting Ramondre?
No,
He's not like me.
like
you know what I would have done.
I just felt that first was more valuable, and I didn't really need Ramondre Stevenson on this team. So going forward, even this year going forward, they have like the 6th hardest rush schedule. Plus Harris came back, so I was pretty much out on him.
I got you.
All right, so we got Laughing Man Network says, Law, good wide receiver crew. And he also says, and this is what I want to bring up before I go, I just had a guy sell me Jacobs for my 24 first in Jordan Love. Hey, if Jacobs gets you to the chip, if Jacobs gets you to the chip, it's worth it.
And he's only 24.
It's just a matter. The problem, I agree. The problem is they didn't pick up his option, so I'm afraid of where he is next year.
But the way that he's playing, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a little something to come back.
Oh, I agree with you on that. Like, yep, and like
win now.
He said it's win now, so I
agree with great trade.
If it's a win now situation, I will never discredit someone for going for their guy. Mm-hmm. Last year, I mean, Jamie, you've heard me say this multiple times with me and Pat. Last year, me and a buddy were going for the title against each other. I sniped him on a trade. I got James Robinson for a late 22 first. Ended up getting hurt the week I traded for him. Yeah. Yep. It didn't work out. However, when you're going for the championship, you just have to do what you just have to, and then this is funny. I kind of laugh at this. He'll be pounding the rock for Atlanta soon. I mean, you never know.
Let's hope not. They're already using 15 running backs. I know.
But if they do that, that means Cordarrelle's gone.
Yeah.
So for my cheat of the week, I'm going to bring up 2 real quick. I'm going to go in depth about one, and on another, I'm not. And actually, this is perfect because Jamie already knows which one I'm going to go in depth on. Mm-hmm. And this comment is perfect. I sent a late second for Geno too. I'm going for it. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And I'm going to go off of your comment, Laughing Man Network. I know there's rumors today that DK Metcalf might play that. Oh, they're saying, he's not ruled out for this coming week, blah, 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 blah. The guy's got a patella injury. If they play him, he's out. And if he's not, you're stupid. So who do you pick up? You go pick up a guy, as of yesterday, was owned in 0% of sleeper leagues. That is the guy that I wrote up in the article, Marquise Goodwin. In week 7, he had 4 receptions, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 5 targets after DK went down. I do understand that it was after DK went down. But here's my thing. That was on 58% of snaps, even with DK out. His snap share is going to go up. His target share is going to go up. They're going to target. The defense is going to do what? They're going to shade towards Lockett. It's going to open up Goodwin. It's even going to open up Dwayne Eskridge. To me, he is definitely, while he's in the lineup with DK out, he is definitely a WR3 or a flex position, hands down in deeper leagues. I have no problem playing this guy. I'm already not picked him up, but I've already put in a claim in one league. I'm going to put some claims after we get off air because when you're in so many leagues, it takes a while to get through all your damn waivers. The other one I want to bring up, and this is with a heavy heart, and I know he's probably picked up in a lot of leagues. Albert O has been a healthy scratch 2 weeks in a row. Healthy scratch, not injured. So what's that mean?
Go
pick up Greg Dulcich. Go pick him up.
Definitely got a few claims for him out in a couple of leagues where I need tight ends. So
Vandy grad 92 wrote him up in our for the going for two waiver wire article. He's only owned in 15% of sleeper redraft over the last two games since he's come back. He's had 12 targets, 8 catches, 95 yards and a touchdown. He's getting the targets, he's getting the plays, he's getting the snap share, which is the biggest part to me is he's getting the snap share because we do know that Russ has not been cooking. We do know that Brett Rippon is not the answer. But in those limited, and we all know this, if you just lost David Njoku and you're a streaming tight end guy or you don't put a lot of tight ends on your roster and you're not going to pick up Greg Dulcich, you're doing something wrong. You could go after Harrison Bryant. You could go after both of them. Put in a claim for both of them, and whatever one you get, you get. But Dulcich is one of those guys, especially at the position that is weak. We will all agree that tight end is the weakest position in the league. To get that value back is the key thing.
Yep. Yeah, definitely go after Dulcich first because he's going to be valuable all season. Harrison Bryant's just like a plug and play right now, and it's only going to last 5-6 weeks. But I do love that Goodwin call, Mike. That guy has some blazing speed. I'm sure he's still fast, even though he's a little bit older. But even if he averages 17 yards a catch, like he did when he played his full season back in 2017, 4 catches right there. That gives you, 11, 12 fantasy points, plus that chance of getting a touchdown for the big, huge games. So I like that.
So to go back on Dulcich really quick, just for Laughing Man Network, I just double checked it. On Sleeper, he is only owned in 15% of redraft. That's it right now. That number is going to be about 40 or 50 as of tomorrow.
It needs to be. And he showed you, 2 different quarterbacks. Obviously, we expect Russ to be back soon and to be the primary quarterback for the team. But he did it with 2 different quarterbacks, gave you production. So he's worth going after if you need a tight end. And hell, even if you don't need one in immediate need, if you have an extra spot, could use him. Maybe you could ship him off in a deal or something like that. But he's definitely worth owning.
And if he's on your taxi squad and if dynasty leagues, and I just lost Njoku in one of them, so I have to cut someone, and I'm moving him up, and he's going to be my play.
I rated him off my taxi squad today.
I have no problem with that. So that's the end of the show, boys. Do either one of you have anything you guys want to add before we get out of here?
Nope.
Just make sure if you can pick up Chuba Hubbard, you can pick up Foreman, you can pick up. I'll even still pick up Paris Campbell, even though I know it probably it'll be dampened by Ellinger starting. But just hold him. He's had 2 good games. Hold him just in case. High upside backups if you have room for him, stash him.
Yeah, honestly, I'd rather have the DPJ over Campbell if you can get him because I think he's starting to become that complementary piece to Amari Cooper.
Okay.
And plus, with Njoku out, he can see a few more targets here and there, and he's got that big playability. He just hasn't scored a touchdown, so like his floor is 9, which ain't bad, but his ceiling's only 12.
Yeah, for sure.
But as a pickup piece off the waiver wire, that's perfect. I'll take it all day.
Another one that I'll add before we get out of here really, really quick. Wandale Robinson. That's all I got to say. That team has no wide receivers. Kenny Golladay is a fraud. Wandale Robinson.
We mentioned him last week. He needs to be on. We got to get on him.
For sure. So for Jamie, for Jordan, I'm Drop the Mic. Thanks for having us tonight, watching.